out of turn. The people who actually were on the ground, who are involved in the operations, will do the talking. And we saw that happening with the Foreign Secretary. We had Vomika Singh, then there's Sophia Qureshi. And then over the last 2 days, the two DGMO representatives have been speaking since yesterday and today. They've given all the operational details. They've given every evidence which is possible to show, because of security concerns, that Pakistan deserved every act which was initiated against them. It was an unprovoked Operation Sindoor. It was actually a provoked Operation Sindoor. We never targeted them. If you go back to the words of the DGMO, all of them said the same thing. Our fight was against terror and terrorists, whereas Pakistan were trying to target the civilians and create a communal problem in our country, but we managed to give them a karara jawab. But what next? Because we're now going to look ahead to the days and weeks and months to come. What next? What is the kind of assurance the PM can give to a nation? I think the assurance he's going to give to a nation is, don't worry, our guards are high. Our morale is also very high. We have the best in as far as a team on the ground is concerned, and we have been managed to win over all the sentiments in the country, the world over. The world also understands. I think the Prime Minister also, frankly speaking, had to rebut these kind of allegations, though he's not going to mention it specifically, that, it was America which was calling the shots. In the last 2 days, that clarity has come in from the DGMO. It was initiated by DGMO Pakistan. They were desperate, they were scared, and they were the ones who wanted this truce. And we got for the ceasefire on our terms, because we made it very clear that any terrorism from them is going to be seen as an act of war. Prime Minister is essentially going to give a morale boosting, look ahead, addressing the concerns and sentiments of a country which has shown exemplary unity and consensus as far as Operation Sindoor is concerned.
Absolutely. Aman and Arunima also joining us on this broadcast. Aman, just a few days after the Pahalgam attack, the Prime Minister had vowed to identify, track and punish all those who are behind this gruesome attack, this attack that killed 26 unarmed civilians. From the highest political officers, from the Raksha Mantri, the Prime Minister, the message has always been clear that these terrorists and their puppet masters sitting in Pakistan will all be dealt with an iron hand. That's the kind of message he's only going to reiterate tonight, isn't it?
Well, see, Poonam, the Prime Minister made a solemn promise to the nation on April 24th in Bihar, just 2 days after this Pahalgam strike. At that time and even now, the country was enraged, the country was angry, the country looking at those visuals of Pahalgam, and the Prime Minister gave that clarion call कि आतंकियों की बची खुची ज़मीन को भी मिट्टी में मिलाने का समय आ गया है. 3 days later, on April 27th, he again spoke on Pahalgam in his Mann Ki Baat address, when he had said that the harshest of punishment will be meted out to the perpetrators and the backers of this terrorist strike. The last the Prime Minister spoke was on May 4th in the presence of the Angolan president in Delhi, when he had again said that the Pahalgam attack was a heinous attack and we will go after the perpetrators. He hasn't spoken so far on Operation Sindoor, which happened on May 7th, and that is what makes this speech tonight at this address to the nation at 8 p.m. extremely important, because here now the people want to know from the Prime Minister himself that what did we achieve through Operation Sindoor, how Pakistan has been taught a lesson. There are 3 or 4 things that the Prime Minister has done, without speaking. He's let his actions do do all the talking. Number one, giving these armed forces the license, the operational freedom to go after Pakistan's terror headquarters. Not just these small terror camps, not after foot soldiers, but attack the terror headquarters in Muridke, in Bahawalpur, in Kotli, Lashkar, Hizbul Mujahideen, and the Jaish-e-Mohammed, killing over 100 terrorists. India's Operation Sindoor, in a way, was complete with that. But then we saw Pakistan coming back, sending these swarms of drones, and ultimately, the big the big provocation was this ballistic missile that Pakistan fired on the night of May 9th towards our Adampur base in Punjab. Then is when the Prime Minister has taken this big call that मिट्टी में मिलाने का समय आ गया है. अगर वहाँ से गोली आ रही है तो यहाँ से गोला जाएगा. That unprecedented, which has not even happened in earlier wars, Poonam. We have sent ballistic missiles, our BrahMos, our Rafales, to attack Pakistani air bases right from the north to the south, right from Rawalpindi, Islamabad to Karachi to Skardu. All these major air bases of Pakistan were attacked. When is the last time a country which is nuclear powered has been attacked in this way by another country? This was unprecedented, and I think these big calls that have been taken by the Prime Minister in the last 1 week or so, starting with Operation Sindoor till May 10th, and now also, the Prime Minister still has this firm view that we have to re-verify and be top on our guard. We can't trust Pakistan. if Pakistan further does a strike, it will be considered an act of terror and India will go out. There is a pause, there is a truce, there is a sort of a ceasefire, but India's guard is very much up. The country is safe, the country is secured, and the country is being led by a strong and decisive leader. I think this message could come through to the people through Prime Minister Modi's address today, because people are also looking up to him, to give them that assurance. Many people have been worried over what has happened in the last few days. So I think the Prime Minister's speech, the nation address also comes the night after, last night has been the first peaceful night on the border in many days over the last 1 week. So I think the Prime Minister's address is very significantly timed in that direction.
And speaking of timing, Arunima, the address to the nation of the Prime Minister is also going to come after DGMO-level talks are held. That call is expected to happen between India and Pakistan. Even as we play out this broadcast for our viewers, that is expected to be at 5 p.m. There will be more details that will, of course, come out of what was achieved from both sides. The Prime Minister could also perhaps throw light on where this takes us forward from here with a country like Pakistan that has a long history of backstabbing us.
Oh, absolutely. The DGMO calls slotted at 5 o'clock should all likelihood be happening as we are speaking. And Prime Minister's address will tell us not just about Operation Sindoor, because it's an ongoing operation. The last time the DGMOs spoke, they decided to cease hostilities till the next conversation, which is today, the 12th at 5 p.m. But post that, should we all be going back to our normal lives? Yes, the schools in even forward areas are now going to be opened up. Airports which had been shut, they're all opening up, including the Srinagar airport, which is a defense airport. Even there, by tomorrow morning, you should see normal flights resuming. A lot of Hajis wanted to go to Saudi Arabia. They could well get their first flights out of Srinagar very soon. So a sense of normalcy is being portrayed. The blackouts, the sirens have not been heard yesterday. No incident reported from the LOC or the international border and plus the Sensex. The markets have also showed a huge thumbs up since this morning. So does this mean that we can all go back to our normal life? Will it be business as usual? I think that the Prime Minister will convey that we had a limited objective as to why we took on Pakistan to destroy the terrorist infrastructure. Once we did that, Pakistan tried its misadventure and we have retaliated to that also. For now, as far as India is concerned, even though we are in a heightened sense of preparedness, we are taking a step back and waiting to see how Pakistan responds. Unlike Pakistan, like the Prime Minister had said, we are also moving forward to becoming the third largest global economy, and we are on course for that. So all these other factors of the Sensex, the market, the airports functioning normally, our schools in border areas opening up, shows that we are competent enough to take limited action against Pakistan if it indulges in misadventure like Pahalgam again, but at the same time make it so fruitful that it will not derail us from our economic goals as well. So I think Prime Minister's message will be twin-pronged, one of assurance and second, declaring the military achievements that we have had over the last 4-5 days.
Absolutely, and a lot of steps went into Operation Sindoor. Siddhant, the kind of deception or the blindsiding of Pakistan that was done diplomatically as well, and the Prime Minister, the External Affairs Minister were all at the forefront of this, of trying to show the world and to Pakistan that for India, the time will come to avenge the terror attack, but for us it is important to keep everything else going on as well, because for this country, the economy, our social welfare, all of that is important as well, which is why we saw the Prime Minister at different other engagements in the aftermath of the Pahalgam attack as well.
Well, yes, that's right, Poonam. And in fact, Prime Minister till now have spoken on 4 various occasions after Pahalgam terror attack, as Aman was also pointing out. And in fact, those were very limited remarks by the Prime Minister Modi, as India was planning Operation Sindoor at that point in time. And in fact, this would be the first time when he would be speaking directly to the people of India, perhaps talking about the operation. And as Arunima was also saying, that now since the schools are opening up, the life is getting back to normal. There is a lot of fear still in the minds of the people, especially those who are living on the border areas. Perhaps if an assurance will come directly from Prime Minister, that would really be helpful for those who have suffered the drones coming into their area, the blackouts in last so many days. So the message, a strong message from a Prime Minister, message of assurance from the Prime Minister would really be helpful for them to restart their lives. Having said that, one thing is also also very important to highlight, Poonam, that on the very first day when CCS took place in the national capital after Prime Minister returned from Jeddah, there were mainly three objectives which were perhaps laid down by the Prime Minister Modi in CCS. One was the political objective, the other is the military objective, and the political objective, military objective. So all the three objectives now have been achieved by the Indian side, and the third is psychological objective. The political objective, keeping Indus Waters Treaty in abeyance. Perhaps that's the cost of terrorism which Pakistan has to play, and India is very clear on that. Second is military objective. On 7th May, we struck the terror camps in POJK and POK. In fact, we have given evidence, proof regarding that. On 10th May, which was a turning point, we had again hit the military and air bases in Pakistan, including air base in air defense base in Karachi, Iskardu, Saroda. And third, the psychological objective perhaps which was achieved, that this particular strike, this time the strike by the Indian Armed Forces, have broken the spine of the Pakistani armed forces. You know, it has made an impact on their psychology that this is a new normal. So if they are going to hit India, India will hit back even more harder, and that's going to destroy, and that would be devastating for them. So the psychological dent is something which will perhaps establish deterrence in the years to come. So since now all the three objectives which were laid down by Prime Minister Modi in the 23rd April CCS meeting, which he took place in the national capital after returning for Jeddah, now since three objectives have been achieved, he will directly be speaking to the people of India, assuring them full security and safety, and perhaps assuring them that deterrence has been re-established.
Absolutely. Aman, as far as the Prime Minister is concerned, he's been down to work ever since he cut short his Saudi trip, came back right on the tarmac. He had a briefing. He travelled with the NSA to his office. Even as that happened, we've seen the opposition here raise questions about where the Prime Minister was. There were jibes that were taken about him being an absentee Prime Minister, about the Prime Minister missing in action. And yet we've seen meetings that were held by the Prime Minister pretty much on an everyday basis. There was a high-level meeting held this morning as well.
Yes, Poonam, and maybe this was not the occasion for Prime Minister to come and speak every day. You know, they were almost at war with Pakistan, and you know this that offensive poster which was tweeted by the Congress party in saying a Gayab Prime Minister. I think the best answer to that was given through Operation Sindoor. You know what happened and how the Prime Minister approved that big operation against the terrorist headquarters in Pakistan. Even since then, you know, the Congress has been questioning why is the Prime Minister not there at the all-party meeting to brief them. You know, I think this was the occasion when the Prime Minister chose that let my actions do all the talking. You know, the actions, that the directions that he gave to the armed forces कि terrorist headquarters को मिट्टी में मिला दो, वहाँ से गोली आएगी तो यहाँ से गोला जाएगा. And you know the kind of Pakistan को सबक सिखाने का time आ गया है. You know the words that apparently he used to the armed forces when these big raids were launched on the air bases of Pakistan. So I think the Prime Minister were doing more important things. He's held almost 24 meetings, which of the kind we saw today morning with the entire top think tank which has executed Operation Sindoor, from our top armed forces officers to the National Security Advisor Ajit Doval, the Defence Minister Rajnath Singh. He has been deep into these meetings. You know, these are deep strategy meetings. Big calls have been taken in these meetings. I think the May 10th strike, Poonam, on Pakistani air bases is even bigger than the May 7th Operation Sindoor strike on the terrorist bases, because we are on May 10th attacking a nuclear powered neighbor. We are now saying, drawing a new line, in the war paradigm, that, be it the border or be it your nuclear threat, nothing will make you, safe from us if you do terror acts against India. This line that India adopted even before that ceasefire announcement came was very, very clear that any future act of terror against India will be seen as an act of war. All this is coming from the Prime Minister, and these directions are coming from him. And that is why I think the people also, Poonam, feel that sense that they want to hear the Prime Minister now speak. You know, we have seen the actions, we have seen our armed forces speak to us and give us intricate details of how these operations have been carried out. But people also want that booster from the Prime Minister to know exactly what happened, why the Prime Minister took the calls that he took, how he has actually fulfilled his promises, which he made way back on April 24, 2 days after Pahalgam, that आतंकियों की बची कुछ ज़मीन को को मिट्टी में मिलाने का समय आ गया है, how the forces went about that. I think the people are looking forward to listen from the Prime Minister. Also, this whole talk that the opposition is raising right now, Poonam, that the US enforced this ceasefire. It is very, very clear from top government sources that even when J.D. Vance called up the Prime Minister, before these airstrikes happened by India, the Prime Minister was unmoved. He was simply said that if Pakistan attacks us, we will give a devastating response. Even when Secretary Rubio called up India, after these strikes were over, to say that he had spoken to Asim Munir on the Pakistan side, and Pakistan is ready to wave the white flag. India was very clear even to the US that let Pakistan DGMO call us directly and tell us we don't want the US as a mediator here. So I think India has adopted a very clear policy in this regard. The US may have done what it has done, but India is very clear that this is a bilateral matter. Kashmir is a bilateral matter. Top government sources also revealing Prime Minister Modi's thinking to me earlier today, very clearly saying that Modi thinks that the only unfinished agenda with Pakistan is the return of Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir back to India. So, there is no other talk which India wants to entertain with Pakistan at any other neutral venue, as the US suggested. Let's see what all the Prime Minister reveals today in his address to the nation.
Absolutely. And speaking of the United States, Pallavi, as far as the Congress is concerned, over the last few days, over this weekend, in fact, Congress leaders, pro-Congress social media accounts have all been putting out Indira Gandhi's speech from the 1971 war. The way in which she stood up to the United States is the kind of narrative that the Congress has been trying to build as well. At such a time, the Prime Minister's address to the nation is going to put light to a more public message, like what the Congress has been showing about Indira Gandhi as well. I believe we don't have Pallavi, but Arunima, if you could take that.
Yes, and it will be important for the Prime Minister to address these political barbs that have been directed towards his government. These barbs have been coming from two quarters. One, there is a section of especially social media users who thought that this escalation from Pakistan's side will be responded adequately by India by taking back POJK. So that Prime Minister and that section has been showing their disappointment on social media by saying that, what have we really achieved, showing their sense of disappointment, turning this moment of victory into a moment of mourning. And that, I think, is important for the Prime Minister to come out clearly and set the record straight that this is a huge moment of victory for our armed forces. Never before have we managed to go strike Islamabad, Rawalpindi, Karachi, Lahore without crossing the international border, without crossing the line of control, not taking into account the nuclear prowess of Pakistan, and yet managed to set in a deterrent for Pakistan that if you do Pahalgam, we will ensure that you are scared to be in Lahore, Islamabad, Pindi and Karachi. The second bar has been coming from the opposition, demanding why the Prime Minister has not addressed the all-party. The first all-party meeting that was called in, the opposition was more conciliatory, more cooperative. They did ask why the Prime Minister was missing, but then we have been hearing voices like that of Bhupesh Baghel saying Mallikarjun Kharge has said he will walk out of the all-party if the Prime Minister is not present there. Rahul Gandhi writing a letter demanding a special session, and the opposition combined asking as to why is the United States talking about, because Donald Trump put out a tweet saying I will try and resolve 1,000-year-old Kashmir issue. There have been objections to this kind of statement as well as to why India is allowing US to become the third player in Kashmir when it is very clear that this is only our issue. It is not even a bilateral issue. Kashmir belongs to India and we will do what we deem fit as far as that territory is concerned. So these are all barbs that have been directed towards the government, and I think when the Prime Minister addresses the nation at 8 o'clock, he will set the record straight. This will be an address to the nation which will be part of history writing as well. What did India achieve? How did India achieve? What is the political leadership's viewpoint now going forward as far as India-Pakistan relations are concerned? Also, India-US, India-China, India-Turkey relations are concerned, because all these countries have become a factor some way or the other in this ongoing tension with Pakistan.
Absolutely. India's foreign policy with all of these countries is also important, especially with Turkey, given that Turkish weapons, Turkish drones were used by Pakistan against India. Pallavi, as far as the opposition is concerned, so far they've stood with our armed forces, with the government of the day, to send an unequivocal message to the enemy, which is Pakistan and Pakistani proxies, that we stand united. But as far as the Prime Minister is concerned, there have been some within the opposition that have questioned about where he has been and why he is missing in action, even though the BJP has countered that fact by fact. Is the opposition also waiting to see what the Prime Minister is going to say today and only then open up their fresh salvo perhaps, or have we already started to see that happen?
But naturally, I think the opposition parties, more specifically the Congress, which really Poonam has been the most aggressive one as far as questioning the government is concerned, will be waiting to hear what the PM has to say. But if you take a look at the letter which was written by Mr. Kharge yesterday and also Rahul Gandhi to the Prime Minister asking for an urgent special session of Parliament, the point that they were making, and Mr. Kharge very specifically mentioned that we would want a special session of Parliament and we would certainly want the Prime Minister to be there, which he should have been there at the two all-party meetings. So the two all-party meetings was, according to them, one which was not taken seriously by the government, because if the operations are micromanaged by the Prime Minister, that the PM really should have been there and also spoken to all the leaders of the political parties who were present at that all-party meeting. But having said that, I wouldn't be too surprised that post the PM's address to the nation, the Congress party also raises a question mark over the fact that the PM doesn't have time to call a special session of Parliament. He doesn't attend the all-party meetings, but he's decided to address the nation. Well, the logic coming in from the government and from the BJP to this, of course, would be is that he's talking to the people of the country. The address to the nation is not to any political party, but it is to the people of the country who have multiple thoughts in their mind. And we see those thoughts in the minds of the people when we speak to them about what's going to happen next, how well prepared are we, do they completely trust Pakistan, and is the world with us? There is, of course, a concern, evidence of Turkish and Chinese weapons also available. So is there an axis which is developing? How is it going to hurt us? So all these factors require reassurance to the real India, and the real India is the people of India, and I think the PM will be doing that very clearly, addressing the concerns of the people. But more than that, it's about a feel-good morale boosting. Our armed forces, our military requires a morale boosting. The people require morale boosting. The frontline operators, the backroom operators, all of them need to be reassured that we are fine. The edge is definitely has been and will be with us, but I don't think it's going to satisfy the Congress. The Congress's concern has largely hinged on the fact that why is it that American president announced the ceasefire? Was he privy? Was he the one who was negotiating it? And isn't it a departure from the traditional convention foreign policy of India, which is why we have always resisted the Pakistan's call that a Kashmir resolution can only come at an international platform? So why is it that India agreed to America, and what are the reasons that we are bending to America? These are the questions which the Congress has been asking. Though I have my doubts, I'm pretty sure actually the PM is not going to be raising any political point. He's not going to use his platform to address political parties, but he's going to use his platforms to reassure the people. I don't think it's going to reassure and calm down the opposition, because politics has already begun in the last 24 to 48 hours.
The Prime Minister may have a statesman-like approach to this. The address to the nation is going to hint at what India has done, what our future course is going to look like in this fight against terror. I request my colleagues to stay on with us, because 2 days after the Pahalgam attack, after 26 innocent unarmed civilians were killed, the Prime Minister vowed that every single one involved, every single one who was responsible for that dastardly attack is going to be tracked down, identified and punished. Listen in to that declaration from the Prime Minister a few days ago.
India will identify, track and punish every terrorist and their backers. We will pursue them to the ends of the earth. India's spirit will never be broken by terrorism. Terrorism will not go unpunished. Every effort will be made to ensure that justice is done.
Now, when that address was made in Bihar, the Prime Minister was there to launch several developmental works. But that bit where he said we will identify, track and punish anyone who's responsible, everyone that's responsible for this attack, was made in English. It was a message sent out to the rest of the world, to our allies as well. Aman, is that something that we could perhaps see in today's address too?
Maybe Poonam. I think the Prime Minister is addressing the country, but is also addressing the global audience as well. Even today, even the global audience, the US and many other countries would want to know what the Prime Minister is saying, because he has not spoken so far on Operation Sindoor. What I believe there are two key aspects to the Prime Minister's address today. Number one, of course, is the big win. I think this will be a speech which will show that the triumph of our armed forces, the superiority shown by our tri-services against Pakistan. Not just the Air Force, the Army, the Navy, how we have acted decisively, not just against terror infrastructure, terror headquarters inside Pakistan, but also against Pakistani air bases when we needed to, because there was a retaliation from Pakistan. And all this, Poonam, has been done even without crossing the border. Since Balakot 2019, India had really built upon its arsenal. We have now the BrahMos missile, which we can fire from our side of the border and strike anywhere in Pakistan. We have bought the 36 Rafale jets in 2020, which started to come, with which the initial strike on the terrorist headquarters was carried out. We also fired a BrahMos at the Bahawalpur terror base to send a message to Pakistan, because Bahawalpur JEM was set up by the ISI. Also, I think because we don't even need to cross the border, the superiority which we had, Pakistan was caught totally unawares on how it happened. Whatever Pakistan sent towards us, be it drones, be it missiles, be it munitions, everything was shot down. That was a testimony to our strong air defense systems, the S-400, the Akash defense system. S-400s we got from Russia also after Balakot. They came for the first time. We have three squadrons of it right now. So I think India's superiority in the air defense system, India's superiority in the artillery, India's superiority in striking Pakistan with our air assets, all of this maybe could find mention in the Prime Minister's speech as a big thumbs up to the bravery and the superiority of our armed forces, which have kept India safe. They have not let even a single drone land successfully on Indian soil, though 500, 600 of these drones were fired by Pakistan. Pakistan even tried to fire a ballistic missile at our Adampur base, but we brought it down. On the other hand, Poonam, Pakistan was not able to stop any of our attacks. We used our drones to smash the Lahore's air defense system, and especially on May 10th, when we attacked Pakistan with such ferocity that their Rawalpindi base, the Islamabad base, Lahore air base, Karachi air base, everything has been attacked by India deep inside Pakistani territory. I think Mr. Modi's leadership is shown, and our armed forces have shown that terror, if you commit terror against India, no border is safe for you. We will come inside the borders, we will hit Pakistan where it matters, we will destroy your terrorist headquarters, we will destroy your air bases if the need be. So I think the big thumbs up to our armed forces, I think, will be one aspect of the Prime Minister's address. The second aspect, which many people are asking, the politicians are asking, is about this Donald Trump, intrusion in a way into the Indo-Pakistan matters, trying to say this is a ceasefire. So will the Prime Minister go that line? I am not too very sure. We'll have to wait for what the Prime Minister says, but officials are very clear that when J.D. Vance had called up Prime Minister Modi, Prime Minister was unmoved. He had simply said that if Pakistan attacks us, we will retaliate in double measure. Even when Rubio called up Mr. Jaishankar on the day on May 10th after our strikes, it was very clear that Pakistan DGMO has to call us to ask for a ceasefire. We won't listen it through the US. So it is Pakistan which asked for a ceasefire. We forced Pakistan into, brought it down to its knees through our airstrikes, and that is what I think the essence of today's address could be.
And we'll find out in about 2.5 hours from now what the Prime Minister's message is going to be, what he outlines for the country and for the world. I thank my colleagues for getting us that perspective. But before we head into a quick break on this edition, listen in once again to Prime Minister Modi, who had made his intent clear back on the 24th of April that all those who back terror, all those who perpetrated the Pahalgam attack will be tracked down, will be hunted down and punished.
India will identify, track and punish every terrorist and their backers. We will pursue them to the ends of the earth. India's spirit will never be broken by terrorism. Terrorism will not go unpunished. Every effort will be made to ensure that justice is done.
We have a confirmation now. 5 p.m. is when
the discussions between the DGMOs take place?
Right. So two confirmations. First one is that press conference that was scheduled for 2:30 is happening.
Okay.
And, we will be seeing some sort of brief by the officials. But yes, as you rightly pointed out, the DGMO level conversation that was about to happen at 12 p.m. between the DGMOs of India and Pakistan has been rescheduled and in fact has been postponed to 5 p.m. in the evening. Between, it is important to highlight that we still don't know the reason, but there can be some technical reason behind the delay. We know that, how this is an important, matter for both the countries, given the fact that we have seen the military action and we are on a verge, to go towards a war. And that's the reason why this meeting is very important. Till now we have some sort of pause in the sort of military action that were undertaken by both the sides. But this time around, this particular meeting is going to decide the way forward. With Queen.
Okay, many thanks, Akash, for joining us with those details. So 5 p.m. is the time when the meeting begins. 2:30 p.m. is when we're once again going to hear it officially from the armed forces through a press conference. Going across to Major General Rajan Kochar, who is with us on the broadcast too. Major General Kochar, just a short while ago, we were breaking down an exclusive bit of information that's been shared by our Security Affairs Editor Manoj Gupta on a possible location of General Asim Munir to a fortified bunker in Rawalpindi. So clearly shows Pakistan is rattled, but would you see this as a sign of panic or some sort of a re-strategy that Pakistan is working on?
What I see is that, I'll just take you back to how General Soleimani was killed. And in Saudi Arabia. Also, at the same time, I will also take you to the Israeli strategy of targeting these leaders like the Hezbollah leader and Hamas leader in Iran and Lebanon. So, what I am presuming is that General Munir is he must have got certain intelligence reports that he is going to be targeted, and seeing the capability of the Indian armed forces, and it has been demonstrated capability this time, when we have been able to pierce through entire air defenses of Pakistan and target their 11 air bases with precision. And I'm highlighting this word, precision. So I think Pakistani intelligence must have felt that General Munir can also be targeted, because it's a possible scenario. It cannot be ruled out. So as a matter of precaution, I would presume that he is being moved into a bunker, because if you remember the statement of Prime Minister Modi, what he made was that we are going to target chun ke. We are going to target the terror infrastructure and the people behind this attack in Pahalgam. So that message is rattling the minds of the Pakistanis, because so far we have demonstrated entire destruction of the terror network in Pakistan, and the next objective or the next target for us would be the people behind this terror. So presumably, I have a strong belief that General Munir actually fears that there may be a targeting him now.
Yes, because there's a parallel universe that Pakistan seems to have created, or is at least attempting to create, that the world will buy its version. But India stands right there to counter each of those fake narratives. General Kochar, what I do want to understand from you is also, how do you... Thank you for staying with us here on Nation at 5. Prime Minister Modi is going to be addressing the nation after Operation Sindoor. That address is going to take place at about 8 p.m. in about 2.5 hours from now. The Prime Minister, remember, right after the Pahalgam attack, had made the intent of the Indian government, of the Indian armed forces very clear. Those behind this terror attack will be tracked down and punished. India launched Operation Sindoor right after that. Pakistani proxies, Pakistani terror camps, Pakistani military installations were all targeted in that Operation Sindoor to break the backbone of this terror infrastructure that flourishes in Pakistan. My colleagues Siddhant, Arunima and Pallavi join us on this broadcast to get us more perspective. Siddhant, as far as the Prime Minister's address is concerned, we're hoping that not only does he assure the country of the kind of steps that we have taken, but also give us an inkling of what awaits India, what awaits the people of this country. Are we headed into a situation of war? Is it all over? That's something that the people of the country also want to know.
Well, that's right. Also, the message is that, India has won without doing a conventional war against Pakistan. Why I'm saying this? Because India has set a new normal for Pakistan. If they will hit us, we will hit them harder. Perhaps there is also a change in character of terrorism in Valley. In fact, there was a devotee of temple which were attacked a few days back in the Valley. Then Pahalgam terror attack happened. So India, it was a need for India to send a strong message to the terror groups and also the Pakistani government, perhaps, that if they will do anything like Pahalgam again, then they are going to get it from India. So all this while, Poonam, there was a strategic silence, from the government side, from the Prime Minister's office and from the Defence Minister's office, because they all were so much involved in planning Operation Sindoor. In fact, there was a strategic silence from Ministry of External Affairs. Prime Minister also spoke on 4 occasions, but those were limited remarks which he made on those occasions, assuring the people of India that revenge will be taken. Now,
right. Sorry to interrupt you there, Siddharth. I'll come back to you and I'll get in Arunima and Pallavi in as well. But we have some more breaking news that's now coming in. This is an exclusive information that we've accessed here on CNN News 18. This is about Indian drones penetrating deep into Rawalpindi, which came as a major shock to the Pakistani military establishment. Top sources have now told CNN News 18 that the Pakistani army is thinking to relocate to avoid concentration of leadership. There's a possible relocation to Balochistan or to Khyber Pakhtunkhwa that is being mulled as well. Akash now joins us, getting us more details. Akash, the Pakistani military, the Pakistani army chief, all completely in panic mode, which is why these kind of decisions are being mulled of relocation?
Right, and in fact, it is in close proximity. The Noor Khan air base that was hit by the Indian Armed Forces is in close proximity to the headquarters, GHQ headquarters, which is the army headquarters. And, that's why they are now, thinking of relocating it to a place where they can get, in fact, the natural cover or, some sort of safety. Because this is one fact that, Chinese air defense systems were unable to protect them or their property, the infrastructure. And that's why now Pakistani army is seriously, considering the relocation. We know that how
right. Sorry to interrupt you there, Akash. We'll try and get a sense of what's happening in Pakistan. But at the moment, what we're learning is that the DGMO level talks are underway. Remember, these talks were expected to begin at 5 p.m. So far, there has been no discussion on the Indus Water Treaty between the DGMOs of India and Pakistan. Arunima, we have more details coming in. The discussion is currently limited only to the situation at the LOC, at the IB, and it's only about the ceasefire violations.
Roj Gupta is also learning that currently the discussion that is happening is on modalities of cessation of hostilities. Donald Trump has called it a ceasefire. Indian authorities are refraining from using that term. But that is where the talks between the two Director Generals of Military Operations stand. At the moment, there is no discussion on the Indus Water Treaty is what we are told. These talks are important because, when the last time the two DGMOs spoke, when the Pakistani DGMO dialed his counterpart here, it was still today 12 o'clock and then it got postponed till 5 o'clock. So what does tomorrow, day after look like? I think that is the modality that is going to be decided in these talks, and it is important for Pakistan to give that kind of a confidence because India has made it very clear, you attack, we counter attack. If you are going to cease fire, then we are also willing to stay back. But Operation Sindoor is still on, and in that backdrop, these conversations between the two DGMOs are extremely significant.
Akash is also with us in this broadcast. Akash, any more details that you've been able to gather? We'll try and reconnect that line with Akash. But as far as the DGMO level talks go between India and Pakistan, so far they are limited to the situation at the line of control and the international border. There is no discussion on the Indus Water Treaty. Remember, India had made it clear that the Indus Water Treaty that was put in abeyance after the Pahalgam attack, that decision continues. Akash, I believe, is now with us. Akash, any more details that you can share with us?
Director General Military Operation is in contact with his counterpart, in fact, from the other side, and Manoj Gupta is bringing us these details where he's talking about these talks that are underway. Now, the discussion is happening on ceasefire. This is what he is bringing to us. And in fact, it was, very much decided earlier, in fact. We know that how, matter has escalated to military level, and ceasefire and the sort of military activities that are happening. In fact, the drone activities that are happening even after, the last conversation, that is somewhere the, agenda, and it would be discussed. In fact, these talks are underway. We'll get some sort of outcome in some time from now where an official statement is expected, from Indian Army. But importantly, ahead of, Prime Minister Narendra Modi's address to the nation at around 8 p.m. today, these important developments, given the fact that we have seen, Operation Sindoor in the last few days, now future course of action will somewhere be decided after these sort of, conversations.
Right. Do keep a track of what transpires in that meeting. Akash, Arunima, Pallavi, Siddhant, thank you so much for getting us those updates and that perspective. It is time for a quick break on this edition of Nation at 5, but we'll be back in just a few minutes. Don't go anywhere.
We have a confirmation now. 5 p.m. is when the discussions between the DGMOs take place.
Right. So two confirmations. First one is that press conference that was scheduled for 2:30 is happening.
Okay.
And, we will be seeing some sort of brief by the officials. But yes, as you rightly pointed out, the DGMO-level conversation that was about to happen at 12 p.m. between the DGMOs of India and Pakistan has been rescheduled and in fact has been postponed to 5 p.m. in the evening. Between, it is important to highlight that we still don't know the reason, but there can be some technical reason behind the delay. We know that, how this is an important, matter for both the countries, given the fact that we have seen the military action and we are on a verge, to go towards a war. And that's the reason why this meeting is very important. Till now we have some sort of pause in the sort of military action that were undertaken by both the sides. But this time around, this particular meeting is going to decide the way forward. This means.
Okay, many thanks, Akash, for joining us with those details. So 5 p.m. is the time when the meeting begins. 2:30 p.m. is when we're once again going to hear it officially from the armed forces through a press conference. Going across to Major General Rajan Kochar, who is with us on the broadcast too. Major General Kochar, just a short while ago, we were breaking down an exclusive bit of information that's been shared by our Security Affairs Editor Manoj Gupta on a possible location of General Asim Munir to a fortified bunker in Rawalpindi. So clearly shows Pakistan is rattled, but would you see this as a sign of panic or some sort of a re-strategy that Pakistan is working on?
What I see is that, I'll just take you back to how General Soleimani was killed. And in Saudi Arabia. Also, at the same time, I will also take you to the Israeli strategy of targeting these leaders like the Hezbollah leader and Hamas leader in Iran and Lebanon. So, what I am presuming is that General Munir is he must have got certain intelligence reports that he is going to be targeted, and seeing the capability of the Indian armed forces, and it has been demonstrated capability this time, when we have been able to pierce through entire air defenses of Pakistan and target their 11 air bases with precision. And I'm highlighting this word, precision. So I think Pakistani intelligence must have felt that General Munir can also be targeted, because it's a possible scenario. It cannot be ruled out. So as a matter of precaution, I would presume that he is being moved into a bunker, because if you remember the statement of Prime Minister Modi, what he made was that we are going to target chun ke. We are going to target the terror infrastructure and the people behind this attack in Pahalgam. So that message is rattling the minds of the Pakistanis, because so far we have demonstrated entire destruction of the terror network in Pakistan. And the next objective or the next target for us would be the people behind this terror. So presumably, I have a strong belief that General Munir actually fears that there may be a targeting him now.
Yes, because there's a parallel universe that Pakistan seems to have created, or is at least attempting to create, that the world will buy its version. But India stands right there to counter each of those fake narratives. General Kochar, what I do want to understand from you is also, how do you see the DGMO level talks play out at 5 p.m? Earlier was set to take place at 12 noon, a little bit of a delay at 5 p.m. And what's your expectation?
Namaste, Jai Hind, and welcome to yet another edition of Take 3 Shots with me, Rahul Shivshankar and Zaka Jacob. And what we are talking or we're building up to, queuing up, is the Prime Minister's address. The DGMOs are in conversation with each other, Bharat and Pakistan's DGMOs. Only the extension of stoppage of fire and perhaps towards a ceasefire agreement, that's the only contours of the conversation between the two nations' DGMOs. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is scheduled to address Bharat at 8 p.m. It's the first time since 2021 that he is making this address. When he first pitched the issue and the thought process of a Viksit Bharat in 2047 with Atmanirbhar Bharat. That Atmanirbhar Bharat pitch 4 years ago was the last that he had addressed the nation at 8 p.m. This is, and before that, of course, the demo conversation had happened. But now, after 4 years, at a time when the nation is asking, why did Bharat pull the finger off the trigger when they had the enemy on the knees, and why didn't we push through? That's the time when the Prime Minister is now going to address the nation to say, to perhaps answer a lot of questions. Is Operation Sindoor still on? Is the war on terror still on? Was there a mediator? Did US play the mediator? Was it under US and Saudi pressure that India has stopped or taken the finger of the trigger and asked for the stop, agreed for the stoppage? Plenty of questions which are there, and of course there is politics. Zaka, your thoughts. What is the expectation from the Prime Minister at 8 p.m. this evening?
Well, look, it'll be a political speech. It's the first time he's speaking after Pahalgam, at least to the nation. He spoke in Bihar, etc. He's addressed the forces. But this is the first time after Operation Sindoor. And so he will sort of tell the nation directly that, look, this is why we launched it. This is what we have achieved. What happened thereafter? We gave, multiple windows of opportunity and off-ramps to Pakistan. Clearly, Pakistan did not take that. And hopefully, he will give us a clear understanding of what happened in the night between 9th and 10th. And then subsequently, by the evening of the 10th, what made Vikram Misri, the Foreign Secretary, come out and say that there's going to be a stoppage of fire. And right now, even as we speak, the DGMOs are meeting, and as you said, the only issue they'll be discussing is how to extend the stoppage of fire, till what time will they extend this, and will this now become a full-fledged ceasefire as it existed from 2021 till, of course, Pahalgam happened and the entire thing was blown out of the water.
Do you see the Prime Minister getting into the nitty-gritties, Rahul, or will he leave that to the army, the DGMO and the MEA to address? But while he says future act of terror is equal to act of war, Bharat is not going to listen to anybody. Bharat dictates the terms in this war against terror. There is no mediator. Now, will there be messages? Because some messages have to be sent to the Americans. Someone like President Donald Trump, with due respect, he had no business jumping the gun the way he did. And perhaps a lot of people may feel upset because of what he did. That was immature. But Trump is Trump. That's how. You can't expect anything from him. The other aspect is, was this war against Pakistan? Did Pakistan military jumping in turn the shape of Operation Sindoor from a war on terror into a war between two nation states? What do you expect the Prime Minister to speak on?
Well, the Prime Minister has always been a very careful messenger. Don't forget that he has already given complete operational command over to the armed forces, and he has allowed the military to come out. Maintaining those distinctions, he's very correct in these matters. So he never tries to sort of transgress the lines. So the military has been holding parallel briefs. He won't get into operational issues, but he will definitely take ownership of the political, military and the doctrinal narrative. This is very, very crucial. Because what is being said, after all, that this mission is still not over, deterrence has not been established, we pulled out under someone's pressure, America, third-party mediation, have we gone back on all the holy of holies that we ourselves held ourselves
Yeah.
to, have you now gone ahead and rewritten the, the rule books? So he will definitely correlate the mission statement, as Zaka said, to the results. He will make sure that the speech that he gave, he will rephrase it and says, look, all the things that I had said we would do, we have done, and I've done this according to your wishes.
Right.
The third thing is, I don't think he'll get into a direct, I don't think he'll do a direct, blunt, criticism word for word. I think he'll generally speak in a larger sense about how India has actually achieved the upper hand. Remember, this is for the first time, and we have to underline this because we have really re-scripted the Prime Minister and the military establishment and his internal think tank, that whole group of people who sit, and we should show those pictures because they've really sat down and they have rewritten the annals of military history.
Correct.
There was a complete rule of thumb that existed from the Cold War era that mutually assured destruction means that two nuclear powers can't go up against each other. Here he has shown you that there is space under the nuclear threshold to impose costs.
Correct.
And this will be studied by all these others who live in the shadows and fight through proxies. This has never happened. So he will definitely take ownership and say that, look, in the pursuit of our objectives, we have demolished a large number of things that were thought to be completely immutable.
Yeah, this entire Pakistan bogey of nuclear weapons and all of that it is possible in just punitive, well-planned strikes to even
He said no one else has ever done it in 50 years after 1971.
Whether he'll say all that, or the other aspect is that this is something which the DGMOs also highlighted upon, Zaka, that it's a preparation of the last decade that's come to fruition. The other thing is this entire aspect of Atmanirbharta in defense. This is perhaps the biggest example. Is the Prime Minister going to use this to send a message to the world that Bharat is Atmanirbhar also to a large extent in defending itself? Attack capabilities, perhaps we had certain level of dependence, but that is also, a lot of it is now indigenous. It's being manufactured here. So you think that's perhaps another message that Bharat is a global military power, Bharat is also a military provider. Nations that were looking to China and other nations can actually trust Bharat's technology now. You think that's also a message that can come across from the
Look,
PM?
I think this is a closing of the loop kind of speech, because he had promised in Bihar 2 days after Pahalgam that each one of these terrorists and their backers will be pursued to the ends of the earth. So now he has to go back to the people of India and tell them that, look, that's exactly what Operation Sindoor did. There is a bit of a fine balance that he has to walk, because Operation Sindoor was never envisaged as a military operation against another state. It was never meant to be, war with Pakistan. India did what it did. It targeted the terrorists, and India said, that's it, we're done. We're not escalating this. It's Pakistan that chose to escalate. And India, of course, had to respond because India has to defend itself. So Pakistan sent those drones, we retaliated. Pakistan then targeted our air bases, we retaliated. And I think, he'll definitely not address Trump or the Americans and this whole business about mediation directly. I don't think the Prime Minister will refer to that at all. But he will underline the fact that what actually forced Pakistan to come to the negotiating table at the end of the day was the military and power differential between what they did or tried to do to us and what our Indian armed forces ended up doing to Pakistan. It is that which forced the Pakistani DGMO to call his Indian counterpart and wave the white flag.
Unimaginable punishment. The other thing is, interestingly, the Prime Minister has not said a single word on X or on social media on Operation Sindoor. He's not even congratulated or said anything, nothing. Contrary to a Shehbaz Sharif, who's done everything on social media, perhaps otherwise nothing. The other thing is that he is not named Pakistan ever directly. There is no confirmation from PMO that the leaders of the world have been speaking, and it's all come from the other side. It's never come from the PM. So do you see somewhere a subtle message going to the world that you pick up the phone and you try and call me, I will talk to you, I will listen to you, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to obey what you say or I'm going to follow what you say. And Bharat is going to do whatever we want to do with terrorists emanating from Pakistan. So that's our job. You don't tell us. You think that message is going to come across?
I think we've already sent that message through sources in government. You know that we have not termed this a ceasefire. In fact, we've said that the operation is ongoing. In fact,
Operation Sindoor is still on.
It is still on because your military kinetic options might be suddenly withdrawn for tactical reasons, But the non-kinetic options are still on, Anand. Don't forget that. Pakistan is still going to have to deal with water shortages. They're going to have to deal with diplomatic, trade, all sorts of other interactions that they were used to, business as usual. Planes are not flying over their airspace, at least the ones that are taking off from India. And the other point that I actually want to make, and this is not something that he's going to address, but let's not forget there are a lot of reputation that bitten the dust. The Chinese, as you yourself mentioned, F-16 Lockheed, the Turks, the Dassault, I don't know about that, but you know, if you read between the lines from the DGMOs press conference, it appears that we might have taken a couple of losses here and there, so we'll have to go back to the drawing board and check this. So that is of course incidental to this conversation, but I think the Prime Minister is very clear in his mind that he has to take political ownership of this. That's the one thing he's not going to allow anyone else to sort of either take away or snatch.
Also, he has to respond to the opposition. I think today's speech will respond to the opposition.
I think he will talk about the difference between 1971 and today. How this is a gigantic new
The other thing
paradigm
is, I think whether we support Prime Minister Modi or we oppose Prime Minister Modi or however it is, but as an Indian citizen, as a Bharatiya, there is credit that has to be given where it is due. Somewhere one has to accept that Bharat's military capability has seen a huge turn. It's a 180-degree turn that it's seen, and it's all happened in the last decade. Under Prime Minister Narendra Modi's leadership. This posture, this military posture, this strategic posture that we are adopting as a nation from a position of strength is not something many people thought would happen. And it's happened. And it's happened in 90 hours. 90 ghante mein Natmastak is a big underlying thing, message to the world that we are a force to reckon with. We are not just the fourth largest economy in the world now. We are also a military power that you don't take lightly. Well, we run out of time. It's time for plain speak. Thank you, gents. We'll stand by.
Run out of time.
Someday we will not. Someday we will not. Okay. Thank you very much.
Welcome everyone. Thanks a lot for staying with us. You're watching Plain Speak with me, Shivani Gupta. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is all set to address the nation at 8 p.m. This is his first address since Operation Sindoor began. We don't really know what he would say, but perhaps a recognition of the Indian forces and the new normal of not bending to terror even one bit could feature in his address. After the ceasefire was announced, there are questions and some doubts in the mind of the Indian public. Prime Minister could well address those. Meanwhile, the Indian DGMO and the Pakistani counterpart have started their scheduled chat, and we are awaiting details from that. What we do have more details of are the operations that targeted Pakistan military and especially the air bases. DGMO of the Tri-Services spoke to the media in the afternoon today and showed more images of like the Chinese-made missiles that were brought down in India, along with other Pakistani drones and missiles that were also